And we're back for 4 on Friday with 23-1 time. He went up a degree. I'd like the temperatures in Chicago up 1 degree for spring. Yay. For sure.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's been mainly cold, but today we got a little bit nicer.
Yeah, a little bit nicer weather in Chicago. Hopefully a little bit nicer. This weekend progresses. We're back for 4 on Friday. We missed last Friday. We're going to double day it at the Curragh in Ireland. We have some races, 3 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. What is the significance of this weekend for Irish racing, Mr. Tom?
These are their version of the Guineas races, the 1 mile race. They're considered classics. And,
so in American terms, because you know how we have to put things in our perspective. What would be the equivalent here?
The Triple Crown races. This is this leads up to the Irish Derby, as the Guineas in England leads up to the Derby, which we'll be doing next weekend.
So we already get a little bit of foresight as to what's on tap for next week. That's
we'll definitely be
for the end.
We'll be at Epsom for sure.
Beautiful. Should be a lot of fun. All right. Well, before we go to Epsom next week, some free picks at Guaranteed Tip Sheet. A link in the description below. There's always free tracks. Today's free track on Friday. I don't know what Saturday or Sunday will bring, but it is Charlestown for nighttime racing. I'm sure our folks over in Europe that watch at some point, that's middle of the night racing for them. Probably they're probably sleeping.
Sometimes Sky Sports runs their races. They won't run them all, but they'll run the first couple.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the bookmakers will be more than happy to take your money.
Yes, of course, and just make sure that you, if you bet the favorite, just know that if it's 5-1 at the starting gate, it'll be 1-5 by the 3/4 mile marker.
But not in England.
Oh, they don't do that over there?
No, because they'll be doing it on the based on the whatever they
book, the international pool.
The book, whatever they book it at. Yeah, it's not a world pool. It's just a whatever they book it at.
Yeah, I hear you get some crazy stuff there.
Yeah, you don't get it as crazy, but you'll get whatever is the best way to describe it. Because sometimes it reverses. We get better, we bet on their racing, and sometimes we get better prices than they get.
Mm-hmm. Well, here at Churchill Downs, you see from yesterday from Terry and I at horseracingtoday.net. In this spot before tomorrow morning will be our show from today, along with our comments, a race replay. Each race will be time-stamped in the description on YouTube. You'll also find a link to our tip jar there. So if you like our show, please let us know. Support the show by hitting us up on the tip jar. We would greatly appreciate that support. Another way to support the show, of course, is just the basic stuff. Hit the like, the follow, all of that. Subscribe. Make sure you do all of that. That does boost our algorithmic scores on Google, Facebook, YouTube, wherever folks find their horse racing content. And while you're at horseracingtoday.net, please hit that HRT gear button right there. You can get a Horse Racing Today sweatshirt like I'm sporting for 20% off right now. Nothing wrong with a little bit of money saved in the bank. All right, so now that we've done the selfless promotion, let's start with the picks. The reason everybody comes, race number 4 on Saturday is going to be the – am I on the right race already, Thomas?
It's the
this one. All right.
You're on the wrong one.
Yes, I was off by 1. I knew it.
Only by 1, though.
Only by 1. It's the Weatherbys Ireland Greenlands Stakes. So in case you're confused, if you're in Ireland or Greenland, it's Weatherbys nonetheless. This one's going to be 6 furlongs, Thomas, on the flat course. So they're going to start here. It looks like they ebb down the hill a little bit, run up a hill a little bit, and then flatten out a touch. In those straight down the hill, a little bit up the hill sprints, Thomas. Will the seas part?
I feel it's not big enough. I think we're going to see them basically together.
Okay.
And moving on what the jockeys perceive as the best part of the track at that point.
And just should point out that right now, the track you see here is listed as good, but according to AccuWeather, or the Weather Channel, excuse me, in Ireland at Kildare at the Curragh race course, you see rain. So I don't know what the course will be like, but there's a high percentage that you're going to get rain. I would suspect with all those little rain icons that the track might soften up a little bit, Tom.
It's very possible.
Well, with or without softening.
But they don't do the soft. They do like we do, yielding.
Yielding.
And then, of course, heavy, which we don't do. But then you can say the track is sufficiently saturated.
Yes, it's wet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here we don't really run. Oh, it's raining. Off to the dirt.
Yeah, we see a raindrop and we move the race.
Yeah, even if it's in the forecast. The only ones that don't do that are the stakes races, right? Because then their stake ratings could be at risk.
Yeah, dirt puts a little bit of a kink in a turf race.
All right, Tom. So for this Ireland Greenlands Stake, a Group 2 for 4-year-olds going 6 furlongs, who's going to win?
I'll start with 7, Storm Boy. Yeah, it's going to import from Australia. He's run some okay races. He won a Group 3 at Rose Hill, going 5.5 furlongs, but he hasn't raced since October 2024. But Aidan O'Brien bought this horse and brought him in, and that usually says a lot, and the odds are reflecting that. He should be the favorite. 3, Iberian is going to be my next choice. Just missed last time out at Doncaster by a neck to Spycatcher, who's a pretty decent horse in a listed race at 6 furlongs. He won a race earlier on the all-weather at Subtle, and it was against a real small field. But he had a break then after that, and then came back and finished second. So I'd say that's pretty good for him. Finally, I'm going to go with 6, My Mate Alfie. He won 3 in a row in 2024. His first start, he was beat at Naz by going 5 furlongs by about a half a length. So, he's won a Group 3. He's won listed races. You got to think he's going to be somewhere, and top jockey in Ireland is aboard.
We have 9 horses in this field, and between the two of us, we have 6 of them in our picks. So that's we did. No. We got 5. My math. So I'm going to start out with Lethal Levi as my first selection, making the classic third start up after a layoff, and the last race was much better than the finish. Almost 4 seconds faster than the previous start. That's some substantive improvement. My Mate Alfie is one that we agree on, Thomas. Horse for the course here. Been on the Curragh track 8 times, 3 wins, a second and 3 thirds, but also a fan of the distance 6 times and 3 wins, a second and 2 thirds. Storm Boy is the other that we agree on. What's interesting about the horse, Thomas, is if you look at the past performances, you'll see it debuted in a group race. I mean, they didn't even bother with like the little stuff. Went straight to group racing, and as you mentioned, in Australia. But the one thing that kind of concerned me a little bit is the rainy forecast, because the one time the horse did get a little bit of soft footing, ran off the board. And then Big Bossy, the one horse, a little bit of a Big Gossy, not Bossy. A little bit of a price here, but I'm counting.
You can be bossy about it, but I think it's glossy.
Yeah, Bossy, I'll say. I am counting on the course softening up a little bit, because I think this one relishes a little bit of sloppiness at its feet. Predictor, are you going to work for us today? I should have tested.
Won't work on the favorite with the Australian form.
Well, you never know.
No, you never know.
Bang! My Mate Alfie, Grand Gray. There's Lethal Levi in there. Big Gossy, you're right. The favorite from Australian form not in there. I thought maybe they might substitute in some numbers or something, but the folks who write the algorithm for the predictor might consider adding some foreign elements. I know when we do our smart sheets, I have to account for horses that haven't run before, or folks come in from overseas, and those zeros really do screw up a lot of math. You try to divide by 0 and multiply by 0. You either get a divided by 0 error or 0. None of which really
a number of people that I have worked with in the past generally will ignore those races because they can't get any solid numbers. So they're less likely to play the maiden special weights with all the first-time starters. But they'll play, interestingly enough, they do play the maiden claimers, and I know one of them does very well in those maiden claimers.
Well, I can point out on our smart sheets, Tom, I've not found a tool that helps a lot better than the maiden special weight. Just as an example, yesterday when we did Churchill Downs, I think race number 3, if you look back, and you'll find that in the description on our YouTube channel, I have a pointing system about 3 points, and then I look at their workouts, some stuff that I found along the way. And the horse went off, was 8-1 morning line. I think he went off at 5-1 and won easily because he graded out. And one of the things I look at is how the horses have compared to what the par speed figure is for the race. And if none of them have hit it, they're all nose, means they've not been within one length of attaining that score. Then those first-time starters that have scores of 2.5 or higher, or some back bullet workouts, definitely merit consideration. Race number, Race number 5?
5.
Yes, on Saturday at the Curragh. Definitely not Churchill. Definitely no maiden special waiters here, Thomas.
And a slightly different looking track.
Yes, this is the Tattersalls Irish 2,000 Guineas. It's a Group 1. No geldings allowed. So these boys can have more boys if they like down the line. 1 mile, Thomas, they're going to start here. They're going to make this kind of interesting little turn over in here. So how does that turn impact the outcome of 1 mile efforts at the Curragh?
Well, as you know, it's a very wide open looking track. So you do want to, as we said about the first race, you want to find the best route to run. So evidently that'll be more to the far side of the course. You won't see so many on the near side of the course.
All right. So we'll see how they perform through there. 1 mile. Let's go to. All right. I'm on the right race, Thomas. I was a little concerned right there. All right. I'm on the right race. Who's the right horse?
At 5. Hot as Hell is going to be my top choice. Yeah. He hasn't raced since October, and in that race at Doncaster, where it was soft going, he beat a very good horse by the name of Delacroix. Delacroix has won his last race, his prep race for the Epsom Derby, so he has targeted a little bit of better race than coming to his future. So that's an interesting win as a 2-year-old. He's won 2 races at this distance, so he's not like he's inexperienced. I don't think you'll get big odds on him, but right now I take 9-1.
Oh yeah.
Number 4, Field of Gold, the max choice. He was beaten last time out in the 2,000 Guineas at Newmarket, the English version, and it was a poorly timed ride by the jockey, and they fired the stable jockey after that. So that should tell you something how happy they were with that ride.
Very.
And that stable jockey the next day got disqualified in a race at Longchamp. Same type of race. It was the French Guineas. He's going to be the big favorite without question. He's got a much better jockey aboard, in my opinion. And is he beatable? I think so. And that's why I'm going to put him for second. And may not even do that well. Finally, I'm going to take number 2, Cosmic Year, as my final selection. He's been running at 7 furlong races. He's won them all. He's won 1 on the all-weather, which is pretty good. And it was, but he's been racing fine. And his last win was on a listed event. And I think that sets him up nicely for this race. And I think you're going to see him probably maybe the second or third choice in here.
Yeah, right now it looks like it's the second choice. My first choice is the same as your first choice, Thomas. Hot as Hell. Hot as Hell. Won off the bench before. It's the first up effort today. At the Curragh, 3 times out, 2 seconds and a third. 2 wins and a second. Completely different record. The second was at 7 furlongs. Maybe just not long enough because, as you pointed out, Tom, the horse has run a mile twice. And guess what? He took home the trophy in both of them. Officer, the next one right there, Aidan O'Brien. Ryan Moore somehow left off Tom's ticket. Probably would have been his next choice in there. But this horse could boom or bust. It's making the 3rd start for the first time in its career. 3rd start in a row. So we'll see how that plays out. Field of Gold is another horse making the 3rd start for the first time in its career as well. Did run a little bit faster in round 2 off the bench. But another favorite in here, Tom, in our 2 races, where if you look at the track soften up a little bit, might not be at its best, and then Cosmic Year. So somehow we have three out of we have one different horse in there, officer. Cosmic Year is unbeaten in 3. It ran much faster last out. It's another one of those horses that's making the third start for the first time in its career without a rest. And sometimes those horses boom, sometimes they bust. So I do think, even with that heavy favorite, Tom, there's a lot of room for some surprises here. Let's see if the predictor agrees on that. Well, it says Field of Gold is going to make easy work of everybody else in here. Hot as Hell might be within sniffing distance, and everyone else just kind of stayed in the gate.
Which we have a few horses that have done that before.
Yes, we have. We usually do pretty well on Foreign Fridays, so I got
yeah. Overall, I think we do pretty well.
Yeah, it's the last Saturday race for you and I is the.
No, yeah, we got one more. You're still in the same one.
Yeah. Race 6, the QuinnBet Emerald Mile Handicap. It's a premier handicap for 4 years old and up. Again, they're going to run 1 mile on the track down here. You're going to make that sweeping turn, head on home to the finish line, Tom. So we talked about being on the far side, probably a little bit better than the inside, but still finding the right footing. Well, this is a pretty big field, if I recall. Was it 19 horses?
19 horses. So a little bit of different type of style running versus the Guineas, which will be only 9 horses.
So with 14 horses,
you definitely want to get inside post is going to be a little more favored than the outside. But again, it'll depend on, as you said, the weather and the going. Maybe that outside will look a little more attractive. And of course, we'll have already had a couple races over the course, so we'll see.
Yes, indeed. So who will we see in the winner's enclosure?
I'm going to start with 6. State Actor is my top choice. His first start this season, he was badly beaten at Epsom at Ascot in his last outing. But he has 2 wins at the 1 mile at the Curragh, and they were on tracks that were good and they were on heavy. So he does like that softness. I think the distance is right. The question will be, is he ready? And I'm going to take I think 5-1 is generous. We'll take him on top. I'm going to take number 12, Lord Church, is my next choice. In his last 6 runs, he's been in the money in every single one of them. He's got 3 wins. And this is interesting horse because as a 2-year-old, he ran 3 times, and he was a complete bust. He didn't win 1 race. What did they do differently? They gelded him.
No.
And he got his mind on actually running.
No, he was worried about what he's going to cut off next. That's all.
Yeah. Well, he's got 1 start this year. He ran well, and now they're moving up into a little more valuable handicap, and I think he'll handle it without too much trouble.
It's a good thing in our line of work, Thomas. They can't do that to us if we
I've already
work up the expectations.
I've already had it happen to me, so I'm okay. Maybe that'll help my handicapping.
Yeah, maybe.
13, Serialized is going to be my next choice. This is the second start of the season. And ran third at the Cork at 7 furlongs. The comment in there was he didn't finish. Well, he's only won a maiden race. He's got 3 tries. But off that last effort, I think he's just needs a little more distance and maybe a little more seasoning. And in the second race up, why not? And finally, I am going to take a 4th one because we got a field of 19.
Hey. Anyway, go ahead. I'm just kidding you. Go ahead.
And finally, I'll take 18. Enchanted Guard is my final choice. He won the first start of the season at Leopardstown, going 7. It was on the good going. This will be his first try at 1 mile. But if he does come anything close to that last effort, I think he's got a chance in here.
Yeah, I was going to say, Thomas with 4, I get to add a 5th now.
You could.
Nah.
19 horses. I mean, it's not a small field.
No, the funny thing is 19 horses, and we have some agreement, at least on 2 of them. I'm starting off with the same one, State Actor. That one, Thomas, pretty much any of the 4 times he ran at the Curragh would probably get the job done versus these. Right to its outside is number 6, Akacheta. I think I got that right, but if not, too bad. The first record, the record first up is really solid because this horse is coming off the bench. He's always put in a pretty good effort after some time in the barn. And I like this horse even more if the weather forecast is accurate for a change and the track does soften up a bit. Another place where we agree is on number 12, Lord Church. 8 solid races in a row. And a horse whose record who says, yes, indeed, I should be better in round 2 off the bench than I was in round 1. And then my 4th pick, we're going to scramble back up here. Or Andy at 7-1. This one's never been off the board at the Curragh, but only 1 win in 20 races at the distance. So the proverbial, will he be in the money? Yes. Will he win? Probably not. And anytime I use the Tom chorus, that horse almost always wins. Let's see what the predictor says. It says it's going to be a tight race, Thomas. Indigo 5, yes. Tom and I have some agreement, and apparently the predictor is not in line with our thinking at all. Although Orandi and Akacheta are there, some of the other horses did not make the final call.
Yeah, the only one I got the additionally is
Serialized. Yeah, down there. That looks like its nose would be in there for the mix as well. I was going to point out before I rudely interrupted you, Tom, that in your final pick for this race sounded a lot like when we got together last. You had that really nice exacta in the last race. I think it paid like $200 or something like that, if you recall.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And your reasoning for that horse sounded a whole lot like your reasoning for the horse that you picked at the end, our Saturday part of the card. Again, when the show's over at horseracingtoday.net, we will post all the information right here. Click on that HRT gear, bang, do that. Over at Guaranteed Tip Sheet, a link in the description below. Please go over there and get some free picks on the weekend every single day. Use that link so they know where you came from. You can help the show by subscribing. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. If you're on X, hit the follow button. I don't know what it is on X. And then also share our content with your friends and family and anybody you know who might like Foreign Fridays or the horse racing programs we do Monday through Thursday here when we make our picks. Quite frankly, we win quite a bit. So if you're not watching, you're not winning. We're going to move over to Sunday now, Thomas, for race number 4. That one is another. I got to this one already once before. The Tattersalls Gold Cup. It is a Group 1, so it's a high-level race there, Tom. It's 1 mile, 2.5 furlongs on that track. So 1 mile, 2.5 furlongs. Oh, boy. I'm going to guess it starts.
The upper one.
Right here?
No. Up
here.
In that chute.
Yeah, okay. So we're going to start back here. They're going to come around. And they're going to make a really tight turn here, or does it just look tight on the
It looks tight.
image?
It's not as tight as that looks. That's
so it's
overly done.
So Belmont-ish.
Yeah, I would not. Yeah, that would be good. Accurate. That would be accurate. I mean, it's definitely, you got some undulations that Belmont doesn't have, but it does. It's Curragh always reminds me of one big, huge open field.
So like they're running down at Kentucky Downs. They just decided to put markers down and let horses run between them.
Exactly.
Just a field. All right. Well, to give them a feeling like they're back in the wild again. So, Thomas, in that race, the long one, where I'm not quite sure where they're going to start and finish, you're pretty sure how they're going to finish?
Well, we're going to try the finish part.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably more important. And I'm going to start with Ghost Rider. Number 5 is my top choice. He hasn't won didn't win as a 3-year-old, but he won 3 as a 2-year-old. And I think its maturity has a lot to do with this, what's going on, because his last race was in Dubai. And he raced against some really good horses by the name of Romantic Warrior and Soul Rush. He only was about a little less than 2 lengths within them. And I don't think there's much in this field that would match those 2 horses, frankly. And I think finishing 4th was a good run for him. And he ran in a Group 1 at Leopardstown where he was 5th, and then they gave him a break, and they had enough confidence to send him to Dubai. So I think he's going to improve a lot off that race. And if he's ready, you're going to get him at a decent price versus some of these other guys. Next, I'm going to take number 8, White Birch, is my next choice. Last race, he was beaten by a neck by Los Angeles. And that was his first start since May of last year. And in that race, he beat a horse by the name of Auguste Rodin. Pretty good horse. He was an average 2-year-old. He was, and then he was undefeated as a 3-year-old in 3 races, but got injured, so he was out. The thing about him is he's extremely versatile, at least so far. He runs on the good, he runs on the soft, he runs on the heavy, and he wins. And number 6, Los Angeles will be my final choice. He won't beat White Birch last time, as we said. He ran 3rd in the Arc, which was definitely on the soft going. But when his last race of the season last year at Ascot, he looked pretty awful. And, I think he prefers the good to the firm going than he does the soft. But reason to watch him, for one good reason, besides the people that are involved, is I think you'll see him at Del Mar in the Turf Classic come November.
Well, I'm going to start with a horse that Kapana has never run a bad race in its 8 starts, winning 3 in a row. And the horse has come off the bench firing. So we'll see if Ocean Murphy can fire her right into the winner's circle or enclosure, pardon me. When I was looking through this race, I felt like every horse had holes, Thomas. And the horse with the least amount of holes was probably Los Angeles. Ran at the Curragh a couple times, won both of them, so that's a big plus. But horse is making a second start after a layoff, and if you rewind through the past performances, you see the horse backed up. A couple of times it made 2 starts in a row. Then Deep One, the 4 horse. Like I said, I think there's a lot of holes in a lot of these horses in here, Thomas. So this is a long shot that if he's ready, got a good chance. Been off for more than a year, but the only time the horse ran at the Curragh, smoked everybody. Since all have questions, I figured I'll take a price and then I'll take another price at Continuous. I'm just out of my mind today. Another price. It's raced at the Curragh twice. Thomas, guess how many wins it has?
It has a couple.
Yeah, 2 out of 2. And then
the trainer's not bad either.
No, not bad either. And it was at the second call up for him too, right? Wayne Lorden.
Yeah, he's the second rider, but listen, I would be the second rider for Aidan O'Brien. Yeah, you can definitely do pretty well.
Yeah, I feel like if you're the second call, you're still on a good horse in most cases, right? Just maybe they feel like the other horse might be a little bit better, Los Angeles.
Well, and sometimes Ryan Moore gets to choose what horse that he wants to ride. I think that has something to do with it too, and I don't blame him for choosing Los Angeles.
Yeah, nor would I. But I do think that horse has a chance to pop. All right, I might think that. You probably don't agree. The predictor might have a different thought altogether. I got a feeling it's going to put Los Angeles at the top. Bang, it does. Then White Birch. Hey, look, Continuous is in that mix. Ghost Rider right there. Crypto Force, not a name either one of us mentioned, but look at the price on Crypto Force there, Thomas. Yeah, 250 to 1.
Couple dollars on that one.
Yeah. You might think about just throwing that one in your exactas or trifectas just in case. It comes home at 250 to 1. You could have a 1 to 9 on top and still make a pretty good chunk of change. The last race for you and I this weekend is I finally been able to work out the titles in the proper order and the right races. This one is the Irish Guineas, Group 1 for the ladies. 3-year-olds, again, 1 mile. You see here, they're just going to start here, make their way down that turn. We don't have 19 horses in this one, so much more like the other one, Guineas, on Saturday. So again, post position may or may not make that big of a difference, Tom. But at the end, which horse will have the difference over the rest?
I'm going to start with number 11, Swelter, my top choice. Undefeated after 2 races. She won at 7 and at 1 mile, and they've been on a good to yielding going. Last race at Leopardstown is the one that really sticks out the most because it was 1 second faster than the standard. She's fit. There's no question about that. And she puts in any kind of an effort like that, she should win this race. Number 6, Flight, is going to be my next choice. She was strong second at Desert Flower in the Guineas at Newmarket, and she went off at odds at 28 to 1. So there were a lot of people who didn't think she had much chance, but I really wasn't surprised. After winning her maiden, she ran in group races and finished well. Got 3rd in 2 of them. And, she was missing by a length to an excellent horse, the Godolphin-owned Desert Flower. So you're not going to get big odds on her, obviously. If you get 28-1, I'd be amazed. But I got to put her in there. I think she's got a chance. And based on that form of that last race, finally, I'm going to take one at Stilla. She's another undefeated horse in this race. She's 2 starts. They were both at 1 mile. And she did fine. She won a Group 3 race. In her last race, that was at the Curragh. She went off at 11-1. Watching her last race was the thing that got me to put her in. And she was on the rail with the leaders at the beginning. She dropped back, and then you're going to go, okay, she's done, right? Nope, she wasn't. She ran a little quicker and finished very strongly in that race. And I think that's, 2 race experience gives it, that's an impressive move by a horse that's only raced twice. And
shows a lot of heart.
Yeah, I think you got to think about when you see one of those going doing that. You got to think, that may be a little special horse coming.
Well, I'm going to start with City of Memphis. The won her debut with ease. They bet the horse down to the 62-cent favorite, so clearly there was something they liked about it.
Somebody liked it.
Yes, indeed. And, we don't get the same, with the data that we have available, sort of breeding scores, if you will. So one of the best ways, or one of the easiest ways to kind of tell how the breeding is, to look at how much a horse costs, right? The better the breeding, supposedly, the more it costs. I think this is the 2nd or 3rd most expensive horse in the race, right up there with the favorites. At 62 cents, I figured the horse won that debut with ease. They paid a lot for this one. They're obviously expecting a lot out of this horse. So do I in the Guineas. My next selection is number 1, just like you, Thomas. Horse is undefeated in a pair of races. Last time out was a mile at the Curragh. This time out is a mile at the Curragh. And I noticed the note, got off to a good start, kind of dogged it in the middle, and then had a second wind, bring home the W. And my next pick is it's definitely not number 2. I can tell you that right now. It's number 9.
Well, you'd be dreaming on that one, right?
Yeah. So Lake Victoria, the 9 horse. That one's going to be your heavy favorite for sure. It's the Ryan Moore, Aidan O'Brien horse. It's the Breeders' Cup winner for the juveniles, 2 for 2 at the Curragh. But I wonder, and we've seen this pattern. It's it's not something that's unfamiliar to experienced veteran horse players. But the 2-year-old that sparkles and that comes back as a 3-year-old and is a dud. That first race as a 3-year-old, maybe a little bit of a dud, Tom.
Well, it's either going to improve or it's going to continue to be a dud. And I'm going to go with dud. I think she ran her races when she was 2.
Yeah, and at 5-4, that's a little bit too low of odds to put a dud, at least at the top of the ticket. But the talent is clearly there. And then another one you and I agree on is this 11-horse Swelter. It's undefeated in a pair. It's going to be rolling at the end. But the reason why I put the 1-horse over the 11-horse and the 4 in their undefeated careers is because the odds. The bettors early on thought more highly of those other horses. So it kind of indicates to me that the expectations are there. And that's usually, the other one's more of a surprise. I kind of like the 5-star recruits better than the 1-stars that grow into 5 stars, Tom. All right. That wraps it up for, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
One little note of you need to do.
Yes. Well, it looks like there's a dominant winner in Lake Victoria. Well, they are expecting it. Sursine. Well, we don't have that one. Jalaya, we don't have that one. Estila, do we either one of us pick that one?
Yes, I have Estila.
That's the 1-horse, right?
Mm-hmm.
Simmering and California Dreamer. So basically it's saying ignore all my picks except for the favorite. Thank you, predictor, as always. You are my biggest supporter. All right. Again, when the show's over, a little bit later on, we'll post all of our comments and thoughts over at horseracingtoday.net, along With a race replay, you just click on the link right there, like we did yesterday for Churchill Downs. The race replay will be right there, right below it. Tom and I's thoughts. Hit the HRT gear button. Get yourself a sweatshirt. 20% off right now. Free picks at Guaranteed Tip Sheet, like always, throughout the weekend. There's a link in the description on YouTube. Kindly use that so they know where you're coming from. And while you're at the description in YouTube, just hit the More button in the description. You'll find all the links. There's also a link for the tip jar. So if Tom's bombs come home, like they did the last time we got together and you had that $270 exacta, hey, give Tom a little bit of a tip. We would appreciate that. You already alluded, well, not alluded. You told us straight up we're going to be next week. I forgot already, so remind me.
There's the Epsom. We had Epsom Downs for the Derby and the Oaks.
Should be a good weekend then. Should have a lot of folks who are interested. And if you're interested in seeing what Tom and I think about the Derby and the Oaks, make sure you share our content with your friends. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Give us a thumbs up, a like, any interactivity, be it a comment. You come back and watch a race again because we will timestamp them again in the YouTube description. That boosts our search engine score. So when people search for horse racing content, they're more likely to find Tom and I. That wraps it up for this Foreign Friday, Tom, in wonderful Ireland at the Curragh, where it might be a little bit soft. But what's not soft, Tom, is your final thoughts. What are they?
Watch some of the earlier races and data and see if we get any changes from Saturday to Sunday before you make your bets. The conditions, as you said, could be it could be different from Saturday to Sunday. So, and since we did both these days, I'm expecting maybe a little more different type of running going on.
Yeah, from one day to the next, especially since the weather forecast says rain, 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 rain. We shall see. All right, well, that wraps it up for this Foreign Friday, no matter what you're doing, until we get back together again on Monday for Parks with Terry and I, or next Foreign Friday for the Epsom Derby and Oaks. Make sure that you have God's grace, God's favor, and everything on that side of the Atlantic ends up in the
winner's enclosure.
Yes, indeed. Have a blessed day.